I have created this extremely basic app, and what we have is these are chats. There's a chat labeled hi and a chat labeled coffee. I have the same thing over here. And so let's say I go into the coffee chat. If I click on it, right now there are no messages. I'll put in my name and some contents, submit, and we have a new message. And then in this browser over here, I can refresh the page. If I click coffee, then we'll see that message there, right? And over here, I can make a new message and submit. The message pops up here. It doesn't refresh over here, but if I refresh the page, click on coffee, there we go. So what we're going to do is implement WebSockets via Action Cable so that we can get these messages to show up in both places live. So let's begin. It's a very simple application, and our back end only has two models. We have a messages model and a chat model. So we're going to make two WebSocket channels. And so right now in our channels folder we have nothing. This is, you can ignore this. So we're going to make a chat channel and then some sort of channel for messages that is unique to specific chats. First, in our routes, we are going to mount the action cable. And if I remember right, I think this is all we need. I have it up somewhere else. If I go here, it's my Mod 5 project. Let me take a look. Mount action cable. Let me just copy and paste it. See, no dot. There we go. Okay. Perfect. That goes in the routes file. We're done there. So let's start with the first channel. The first WebSocket channel is going to be for all chats in general. So anytime a new chat gets created, we're going to broadcast it via this channel. If we go back to the application, this form up here is to create a new chat. So if we want to make a new chat, we just type something in, hit submit, and there it is here. So when I do that, what I want to happen is that this new chat also pops up over here, which currently it's not, so I have to refresh that page, and now we can see this code chat. So first step is to create a channel file. To do that, we're going to go into our terminal in the back end. AC practice back. Okay, we're going to say Rails G channel chats. Give it a second. There it goes. Cool. So now if we go back to our code, we have in our channels folder, we have a new file, chats channel.rb. Comes with two methods, subscribed and unsubscribed. Start with unsubscribed. Here, we're just going to say raise not implemented error. And we're done there. In our subscribed, we're going to say this is a generic channel, if you will. It's not unique to anything. So we're going to say stream from chats channel. Cool. Now we're done with this file. We need to go into our chats controller. So right now when a new chat is created, the request comes in, we create a new chat, and then if we save the chat, if it works, there's no errors, then we're going to render that chat. To change this for WebSockets, we don't want to render JSON anymore because that only goes to the person who created the chat. We want everyone to see it. Question?
Yes. If chats has many messages and chats controller is its own model, and you're creating new instance of chat every time you create a new chat.
Yes.
So, and I'm just trying to see how it applies in my case.
Of course.
So, would an event be a chat controller? Because I'm creating a new event, and event has a comments section.
Yes. So instead of chats, maybe you have events.
Yes.
So instead of chats and messages, you would have events and comments. Sure. Yeah. Same concept. Okay. So let's comment this code out for a second. Instead of render JSON, we're going to say action cable dot server dot broadcast, and then we want to broadcast from so the first argument here is the name of the channel, which is chat's channel, and the second argument is the data to broadcast, which is the chat. Now, the tricky thing here is that this will not run it through the serializer, and I have a serializer set up to render not only chat, but all the chat messages. So what I'm going to do here, I think what I can do, so when we were talking before, I made a custom serializer because I wanted to go several levels deep in the relationship for the serializer. Here we only have chats and messages, so we'll need to go one level deep. So I think if we run chat serializer.new chats, then I think that will be fine. I think that goes one level deep. We'll see. So this is going to broadcast. So what we can do is, so right now if I make a new chat, what's going to happen is the back end hopefully is going to broadcast that chat out to everybody, but nobody's listening right now. But what we should be able to see is in the terminal where our server's running, we should be able to see some, well, we'll see in a second. Let's try it out. So if I hit submit here, I go to my, right, because we're not rendering any JSON, and this is set up to handle response. But ignore that for a second. What we can see here is, so this is interesting, that I still get, this probably has to do with unsubscribing. And this is from my Mod 5 project that I just had up and running, which also uses WebSockets, and it's interesting that, I don't know why that comes up. But if we look before, so we created a new chat, begin transaction, commit transaction, and then right below that we can see this, action cable, broadcasting to chat's channel. and then you can see the data here. This chat ID, title, created at, updated at. So it's broadcasting. So we need to, on our front end, set it up so that we are listening for this broadcast. So let's go to our front end repository. And we'll first, from our terminal, let's go to our front end right here. Say npm install react action cable provider dash save. So let's give that a second. And what we're going to do when this finishes is we're going to, in our index, we're rendering our app component here. We're going to wrap this app component, that's finished, in something called action cable provider. And we need to give this the URL for the WebSocket server here. So what we do is, instead of HTTP, I'm not using the HTTP protocol anymore. This is a WebSocket protocol. Localhost 3000. So we're still running all of this locally, and then /cable. And we're going to wrap that around our app. We also need to import it. Import. That's going to be imported from that package that we just installed, action cable provider. All right. Now, in our app, so we were getting that error because this is expecting to get a response from the server. But we are no longer getting an HTTP response. We're going to have a WebSocket broadcast. So let's comment all that out. We're not going to need any of that. And then, so in our app, yeah, so this is the method that when we create a new chat, we send the request, the post request, and then handle the response. So now we're going to send the request to make the new chat, but instead of handling the response here, we're going to handle it a different way. So what we're going to do is, first we need to import something. We're going to import action cable consumer, and that's going to be from the same package. And we're going to render that down here. Action cable consumer. So we need to give this two things. We need to give it a channel, and I think to do this we need to pass it in as an object with a key of channel and value of chats channel, which this chats channel is matching with in our back end, the name of our chats channel here. So this component will be listening for anything that gets broadcast through this channel. Now, when it hears something that gets broadcast, we need to tell it what to do. So on received, when we receive a broadcast, we're gonna do something. Right now, let's just log the response. Let's just see what we're getting. So automatically, this on received is going to pass in the data that was broadcast to this function. So if we put console.log here, we should be able to see what gets broadcast. Yeah, question, go for it.
A charger that I can borrow? A laptop charger.
Mine is not very long, so you can use it.
I'm at 5% right now.
The one that I have with you is not very long. It isn't super long either. Are you here now?
No, I was here.
Oh.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, you're fine.
It's all good. You don't interrupt me,
All right. So if I've done everything correctly, which it's quite possible that I haven't, but if I have, when I try to create a new chat, let's make a chat about music. Actually, let's open up the console first. Okay. Here it's the same. This looks smaller, a little bigger. All right. So when I hit submit here, I'm going to send a request to the back end to create this new chat. The back end is going to make that chat, and then it's going to broadcast it via the chats channel. And the front end is listening to this channel via this action cable consumer component. And when it receives a broadcast through that channel, it should log the data that was broadcast in the console. So let's see if this is working properly. And there you go. On both sides, not just here, but over here as well, we're logging the new chat, which has a title of music and currently has no messages. So both browsers, both clients are getting that information. Any questions so far?
How does your console.log work? Like, does it not error out if you just do console.log and no pass in no parameters instead of it?
So console.log, this is the same thing as saying here, data or whatever, console.log data. It's the same thing. It's acting as a callback function here, and the argument is being passed automatically by this onReceived property. It's the same thing like if you in any of your fetches, if you want to see what you're getting as a response, like say I just signal a second. So I get the response.json, and then I could say .then console.log. And that's going to pass the response to the console.log as an argument. And it's going to log it properly.
Cool.
Yeah. Just a side note. All right. Any other questions so far? Okay, so what do we do? Right now we're logging the data, but what do we do with it instead of logging it? What I have is in my app, I have states with a key of chats. And I want to add this new chat to my state, right? So what I'm going to do is, so on received, instead of console.log, I'm going to say handle received chat. And here, let's make a method, doesn't matter where, but let's say handle received chat, and that's going to take one parameter, one argument called, let's call it chat, and then we're just going to say this dot set state. I don't know if you guys have used prev state when setting state. Okay. I'm going to return, so we have chats, oops, and we're going to spread out our prev state dot chat, and then we're going to add in the new chat as well. So this should set the state, which will cause a re-render, and hopefully, if everything, wait, I'm missing one thing. I need to destructure this here. There we go. Okay. So if this is working properly, we should be able to, if I hit submit, look at that. Not bad, right? Pretty cool. That's it for that, for our chats channel. Pretty simple. Questions?
How much is it similar to the messages channel?
Well, we'll see that in a sec, but pretty similar. Right, so the next step now is we have all these messages, or we have all these chats. So those update when someone makes a new chat that, everyone sees that pop up at the same time. But if I make a new message in one of the chats, that's not going to, first let's open this. Okay, so now if I submit this here, it doesn't show up here, right? What we want is for that message to show up here. If I refresh the side and click on this, now I have the message. So, this is going to be slightly different because each message belongs to a certain chat, so we need to be broadcasting the message specifically for those chats, for the chat that it belongs to.
So we have to find the parent chat first and specifically send it.
We're going to find the chat first, exactly, and then broadcast to some channel that is unique to that chat. So, let's get started. Pretty much the same process, just a couple minor differences. All right, so let's go back to our back end. We made a chats channel file for our chats. Now let's make a new file. We can call it whatever we want. So we're going to go, where's my disk space is critically low. That sounds pretty dramatic. All right, I'm just going to ignore that problem for now. All right, so in our back end, Rails G channel. So I might say I don't know, you can call it messages channel because Rails G channel messages. Sure. Let's go with that. All right. So we have this new file here, messages channel. What we're going to do here is we're going to, when each message gets broadcast, we're going to broadcast to a channel that is unique to the event that that message belongs to. So, not event, sorry, chat. Chat. What we're going to do is we're going to find chat.find params chat ID, and we will see where that comes from shortly. And then instead of saying stream from, we're going to say stream for chats. Or the chat's ID, doesn't matter, but something that's unique. And the chat itself should be unique, is unique. And here, we're going to say the same thing, raise not implemented error. So for each new message that gets created, we're going to find the chat that it belongs to, and we're going to broadcast for that chat. So in our messages controller, so the way I have it set up right now is that a new message gets created, and if it worked, if it's saved, then we send back the entire chat. So I would update my app on the front end. I would update state and update that chat so that it has the new message in it. But now what we're going to do is, instead of this, we're going to broadcast. And this is slightly different from so before we said action cable.server.broadcast, I think. Now we're going to say messages channel.broadcast to. Oops. And we're going to broadcast to chat. So we're also finding the chat here, right? We're getting the chat ID from the request to make the new message. And we're finding the chat. We're going to broadcast to the channel that's unique to that chat. And we're going to broadcast the full chat, which will now have the new message as part of it. So we're going to say chat2.new chat. Okay. So that should be it for the back end. But let's just try to make a new message. And again, we're no longer, well, actually, before we do that, let's go here so we don't get the error in our front end. So we're no longer rendering JSON from the back end, so this will all error out. So let's just comment it all out for now. And so when I submit this new message, oops, nothing will happen in the front end, but if we go to our terminal, we should be able to see that it got broadcast properly. So I also like ping pong. We submit that. If we look at our terminal here, we can see that, where is it? Okay, so we were beginning our transaction. We created commit transaction, so our message got created, and then we broadcast to some channel this new chat, or the full chat, which should have the new message. So seems to be working. Let's refresh on both both sides here. Now what we want to do is set up our front end to listen to that broadcast. So let's go back to our app. So we're going to render another component, another action cable consumer. I don't know why it's doing that, but okay. Action cable consumer. And we're going to have a channel. So here we're going to render or give it an object like we did before, but we need two pieces. Oh, you know what? Actually, hold on a second. We're going to need to render one of these for every single chat. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a method to do that. We're going to say render, let's call it message action cables. Yes, question.
Can we just put this action cable consumer in chat component?
Yes, yeah, you could. You could put it anywhere. The difference would be that you would have to pass down the function that handles updating the state here, because we're going to update the state with the received broadcast. So you have to pass that down. The other thing to think about is that if your chat component isn't rendered for some reason, then you won't have this action cable consumer listening for broadcasts. So it's I don't know if this is best practice, but I think it's probably good practice to put it in app, because remember it's not rendering any HTML or anything like that, so it doesn't make the DOM messy at all or anything like that. So you might as well put it here so that it's like your app is always rendered right, and so it's always listening for broadcasts. All right. Under message action cables. Okay, so we're going to make this method under message action cables, and all we're going to do is for each of our return this dot state dot chats dot each dot map, and for each chat we're going to return action cable consumer, and channel will be okay. So we have an object, one key of channel, and the value will be messages channel, and our second is, so in the back end in our messages channel file, we want to make sure we're passing back some chat ID key here, because that's how we find the unique chat to stream to, or stream for. So I'm going to say chat ID, and that's going to be the ID of this chat that we're iterating over. Okay. And then we need on received, and on received we are going to, well, I'm gonna just log first to make sure that we're getting a response. But make sure that we're receiving this data properly. And because we're mapping, it's good practice to give it a key. Okay. All right. So let's test it out. Let's go go here. Okay. And everybody likes ping pong. So you can see in our console on both sides, we're logging this new data that was broadcast. You can see that the messages key of this object is an array with length 3. You can see 2 messages here, so the third one is the one that we just created. We are not updating our state yet, so that's not rendering yet, but we're getting this console log on both sides, which is a good sign. Okay, so last step then is to do something with this information. So let's handle received message. You know, before we do this, let's just make sure that if I, for example, if I do something here, cool. Okay, it's a food chat and 1 message. Okay, cool. So handle received message, and we don't have that method yet. Let's put it here. And with this message, so let's see. Or no, what we're broadcasting is the chat. We're going to update that chat in our state because it has a new message. So I had this up here. So I'm just going to take advantage of what I wrote up here. And we're going to this dot set state. States, and we're going to map. So for chats, we're going to say proof state chats map, and if the chat wasn't, the ID of the chat is not the same as the one we just received, and we're just going to return that chat. But if it is the same, we want to return this new chat object. So we're going to, in our map, we're going to return, we're going to say chat ID equal to chat obj.id, chat obj being the chat that was just broadcast. If so, let's return the new chat. Otherwise, return the old chat.
You mean messages, right?
So what we're doing is when a new message gets created, we're broadcasting the entire chat back. Because we're holding our chats in state here.
Yeah.
We're not holding messages. I mean, the messages are in state, but they're in state through the chats. So you can do it. You can set it up however you want. I chose to set it up this way.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It does make it a little confusing, which is why I was hesitating to call this messages channel, because it's it's unique to a chat, and we're broadcasting a chat, but I think it's okay.
For every message sent, we're still iterating over the chats because chat has many messages, so it's gonna.
Yes, right. Okay, I think this is good. But let's test it out. All right, that's because we didn't. Okay, so I'm gonna do some. Let's do some destructuring here. I like destructuring. state chats and handle received message is this, and we're going to get rid of this here, and that's fine there. Okay. Have you guys seen the destructuring like this? Yes. Okay. Should be good to go. Okay. So let's go into a couple chats here and make sure that our message is not only displaying on both sides, but it's displaying in the proper chat. Okay. So hey, cool. So we got hey from Shane over here and hey from Shane over here, and it's showing up in our hi chat, not in our coffee chat, not in any other chats. And now, yeah, so from over here, there we go. And that's that.
This is pretty cool. You did make it look simple, but I know it is like a little complicated.
It's not too bad.
But
You do a couple of them, and it you get the hang of it pretty quickly.
Question.
Questions? Go for it.
So what happens to the render JSON that we X'd out?
Sure. Something interesting is, I mean, we can just totally get rid of it. We don't need it.
Yeah.
But what you could do, I don't know why you'd want to do this, but let's say that, let's go back to our chats controller, where we closed it out, or commented out. Let's comment it back in here. Let's move this up one. So I think this render will exit out of the method. So let's move it to the bottom. Let's save that. Let's go back to our front end, and where I commented out that code to handle the new chat, comment that back in. So if I make a new chat, what do you think will happen?
So it's gonna go back, and then it's gonna go into the backend, send you a JSON object of the same name, hockey, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it would send the action cable first and then would render it. So would it get rendered twice?
Let's find out. Let's find out. If I hit submit, twice over here, but only once over here. Because this side is not getting the render JSON. That's only going back to the client that sent the request.
Right.
Right.
Did we set up keys too? We set up keys.
Yeah, but it's the same. It's getting the same object twice, the same chat twice, which has the same ID. That's why this is getting thrown off. But now if I hit refresh, let's actually hit refresh on this side. Back to 1.
Oh.
Because we're only creating it once, so it's only going into the database one time, right? So when we refresh and we grab all the chats from the database, we're only getting the chat once because it's only there once.
So the object is going from this window to the server, and it's being broadcasted to both.
Say that again?
The object that you created, hockey, is going to the server.
Yep.
I mean, it's being generated in the database. It's being pushed to the server, and then it's being updated on both sides. So server is sending a response back to this one as well as this one.
So this client here, this browser, sent the request to create a new chat. The backend created that new chat in the database. It then broadcasts that new chat out to the world via the chats channel. And since both my browsers here are listening to the chats channel, they both received that broadcast. They both received that new chat object.
Right.
But the browser, or the server, the backend, excuse me, is also not only broadcasting, but it's also rendering a JSON object for that chat.
So in
And that's only going back to the browser that sent the request to
Right.
create the chat, which is why this one over here got it 2 times. Got it from the broadcast and from the rendered JSON.
So in our case, we would need we need the dot then, right? And
What?
then we need the rendered JSON object.
Mm-hmm.
So
What do you need it for?
So no, I'm trying to understand if we were to get rid of it, if we are trying to avoid 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the dot then method gonna take? Nothing? Like after
Well,
dot then?
If we render JSON, or if we comment this out like we do here,
Yeah.
then we get an error. So if I leave this dot then in,
So yeah.
and I try to create a new, because like this is the request, the post request to make the new chat, right?
Yeah.
And
This is
but we're not getting a response back from that request.
right.
We're getting a broadcast, which is not, which is separate. So that this dot then is going to get nothing, which is going to cause. Let's see, I don't remember what exactly the error is, but let's see. Uncaught type error, cannot read property received of undefined.
Yeah, because
That is, that's an interesting one. I wonder, so that's related to the action cable, which is interesting.
so
I don't know
render
why
JSON
that one
is
came
Xed out
up.
right now, right? Is render JSON commented out?
Yes, yeah.
And then we still have the dot then response.
Right. So that's, yeah, we do. So this commented out here, and we have the dot then here,
Yes.
and that's causing this error over here, this unhandled rejection.
Right. So
This one here is
different.
separate and maybe
That one is on
related
both
somehow.
sides.
Yeah, that's because that's related to the action cable, and I don't know exactly. I'm gonna guess that it's somehow related, but let's ignore that one for now. Yeah, so this is the error that you get when you don't render a JSON, but you have a dot then to handle a response. You get this unhandled rejection, unexpected end of input, end of JSON input. Yeah.
Cool.
But if we go back and we comment this out as well, so we don't have these dot thens, and I go here, then we should have, yeah, there we go.
This is awesome.
That's it. Nothing to it, right?
No, there's like a lot
Easy.
to it.
No, it's not. You guys got this.
Okay,
Thank
so
you
we
so
have
much.
to yes. So we have to implement WebSockets now. Would you?
just did.
I mean, yeah, but here too, make
Oh.
sure it works here.
All right. Any other questions?
No.
Before I, yeah, go for it.
Would it be too much to ask if you can like upload this to GitHub?
Oh, I'm going to for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll send you guys all the videos, and then I'll upload this this new code here to GitHub, and I'll send you the link.
Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll send it to you guys, and you guys can distribute it to everybody else. The chat that you and I are in,
Okay,
or
yes.
us three. Yeah, and you guys can, whoever wants it in Modify or elsewhere.
Cool.
What
This
you
is
should do,
awesome.
you should upload it to YouTube and then tell your employers like, oh look.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
I mean,
Always thinking.
the career coach would actually must have
Finish the
recommended
blog.
you.
All right. Any more questions
no.
here before I end the video?
No, this
Good?
is good. Thank
All
you.
right, awesome,
Thanks a lot.
awesome.
Okay.